Is that when did you first start getting into trouble? That's what I want to know.
Oh, crikey. Well, let me think. I would have been probably in my teens, so 70s, early 70s, I would have thought.
Hmm.
Well, I lost the eye in the
Explain the
UK.
eye.
Well, this is like I mentioned before about going back and forth to the UK because my father had a business and we went over there one year for schooling and what have you, because we had a house over there as well. And we'd go to the local school. And this is in Galston, which is a little town annexed to Great Yarmouth almost. And we'd go and play on the beach, Galston Beach, which was quite a lovely long beach. It's like a pleasure beach, it's full of all your kiss me quick stalls and what have you. But we used to go in there winter and none of that was happening. Bit of a ghost town in the winter, actually, Galston. So we'd go on the beach and we were playing, and it was just after Christmas, but before New Year. So it was cold, and we used to play this game, my brother and our friends, a bit like conkers. Now, the beach in Galston is strewn with these pebbles of flint. But we used to use one of these pebbles as a conker and lay it in the sand, and then our friend would have another pebble, and he'd throw it at our pebble, and the one that smashed to pieces was, the winner. And of course, it's flint. This is what ancient man used to make scalpels and spearheads from. Can you
Oh
imagine when it
God.
shatters? It goes off like a grenade, and it's razor sharp shards of stone. And of course, this happened. My friend threw his at mine, and it shattered. And of course, one went straight into the old eyeball. And so
Oh man.
they didn't realize how badly I was hurt. So I ran home crying, but not. It was painful, but it wasn't agonizing. But I knew. I knew it was. It was like being poked in the eye with a finger. You get that same sort of feeling. And I ran home, and no one was at home. So I had to sit on the doorstep for about an
Oh
age,
no.
waiting for my parents to come home. And meanwhile, this damage was being done because this flint actually went in and back
It
behind
was
the eye.
stuck in your eye.
Yeah, it wasn't not through the front of it, but it gone underneath and in, and yeah.
Wow.
And so, of course, every movement of the eye, I suppose, was causing more damage.
So how long did you have to wait until your
Well, my
parents came back?
father, about an hour or
Oh
two, I
my
think, as I
God.
recall. I
What?
can't recall. They eventually got me in, and but they put me to bed, not thinking anything was seriously wrong. And the next day, my dad said, "Not sure about this eye. Let's get you to the hospital." So he drove me from there to Norwich Hospital. I don't remember if I went to Yarmouth Hospital. I think I went to Yarmouth Hospital first, and they said, "Oh, we're going to refer this to Norwich," and thence to Norwich Hospital, where they admitted me immediately. And I was there for 5 or 6 weeks because they were trying to save it.
Wow.
Because I was only 9 at the time, and nothing happened. In the end, they announced to me, "We're so sorry, old chap. We're going to have to remove the eye." And I think they thought it was going to devastate me, but it actually didn't bother me at all because I was reading a lot of Marvel comics at the time, and Nick Fury only had one eye, and he wore an eye patch, and I thought, oh well, I'll just be Nick Fury, and so it didn't bother me at all, and frankly, it never has.
Wow.
Never has. It didn't traumatize me too badly. So I think if I'd been blinded, that would have been a
Yeah,
different
yeah, of
story. But
course.
no, I've managed all right on one eye for the
Can I
last.
ask who was the person that
Oh, it was
wasn't responsible,
well,
but
no, it was somebody called Smith. Honestly, and I
John
can't remember.
Smith.
I think it was someone called Philip Smith.
And did he know what had happened?
No, he didn't know he'd done any
Wow.
harm. We'd been
Until
doing
he
it to each
wow.
other. It's only luck
Oh
that
my God.
that it happened to me. He was a very good mate of mine, and we were on the beach. Carl was there, but
Wow.
people think Carl did it. He never did.
Do you know what? That's what I heard.
No, he
I
didn't
heard
do it.
that. Okay,
No,
so your
it
brother
was
has
this lad
been,
Philip Smith, and
ladies and
then
gentlemen, is not Carl's fault.
yeah, no, didn't, nothing to do with him at all. And so that was that. Yeah, and I've always managed on one eye perfectly well, driving, getting around. A bit short-sighted in it. Obviously, not as short-sighted as this one, playing on that. But
Is there so is do you because obviously you used to wear the eye patch. What
yeah.
was the choice behind removing that? Because you used to have like a fancy dress wardrobe just full of eye patches.
Well, I still do.
Yeah.
On my 65th birthday, everyone wore an eye patch in honor, and I thought I was really touched, and I've still got all
Oh.
of those. But no, the reason it's funny about having one eye and wearing an eye patch. If you've got one leg and you've got a crutch or an empty trouser leg, people give you, fair dues, poor fellow. Okay, that's but they don't say, get a move on, hop along or anything like that. And if you've got one arm, they don't say, oh, you look harmless to a one arm. You wouldn't do that, would you?
No, of
You-
course not.
But people would actually drive past me in towns I'd never been to before. And this is what triggered it, really. This car drove past me. I was in Blackpool and stopped. And the driver wound down his window and shouted across the road, "Aye, aye, pirate," which I've heard millions of times, billions of times even. Who knows how many times I've heard that joke. But people seemed to think it was the most clever thing they'd ever heard said to someone with one eye. And it just seems to me that an eye patch attracts that kind of attention, a negative attention, a mockery. It attracts mockery, even though you've got a perfectly good reason to wear one. It attracts mockery. And I'd walk into pubs, clubs, anywhere. I'd be walking down the street and people would just say, "Aye, aye."
Yeah, people are cruel, man.
But it didn't bother me until I thought, I've had enough of this. I said, I don't really know why I'm wearing an eye patch now. It's not like that. It's disfiguring too badly. It's like no one would really care. I've seen people with one eye not wearing eye patches, and they look perfectly fine. And I think it was just years and years of wearing an eye patch, more than 30 years. I started wearing an eye patch in the 80s because I used to have a glass eye before that. Now, I would never wear a glass eye again because it's hideous. But it was, mine was anyway, because it went cloudy, and that's basically why I started wearing the eye patch. And I thought, right, I'm just going to get rid of the eye patch, and it's the most liberating thing I've ever done. And do you know what? I haven't had a single disparaging comment since then, in 2 years since I've done it.
Wow.
Because people see that there's something plainly amiss.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
they see an eye patch and they think some kind of posturing is going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So,
but you were very young when this happened. I mean, were there ever times when it did affect you, like in your life? Was there? I mean,
no, I don't. I think I was self-conscious about the glass eye,
right.
because it didn't move. It didn't look real. I used to see photographs of myself and think, "Oh God, that bloody eye looks," because I'd look like boss-eyed or cross-eyed, depending. Because it just sort of stared straight ahead, but it had slight mobility, but not as mobile as an ordinary eye. And it was beautifully made and everything, and I had it for blimey so many years. I had it. I lost it actually in the time I've been with Alex. So
Where did you lose it?
I lost it in a hotel in Jersey.
Oh
I think
my
it
God.
fell out of my wash bag, but I hadn't been wearing it. I hadn't been wearing it for years and years anyway, but I kept it as a keepsake. And I think it just fell out of my wash bag in a hotel in Jersey, and someone is probably the proud possessor of a porcelain eye.
Oh my God.
But it's not like a ball,
Yeah.
It's more like, it was more sort of triangular shaped, and it was indented at the back so that the muscles would pick it up and move it around. And it would occasionally pop out in indiscreet moments.
Drunken moments.
Yeah, sometimes I just
Wow.
shake my head. I remember at the Bellevue Disco having a dance and shaking my head around a bit. I think I was doing the Grebo to Status Quo. I was like that, shaking my head, and it just rolled out of my head. And I had everyone on their hands and knees looking for it. Middle of a Status
Wow.
Quo song.
Wow.
So, bloody inconvenient sometimes.